Tasogare no Ode, Ode to the Sunset Era, released on December 27, 1996 for the PlayStation, is a role-playing game developed and published by Tonkin House, officially described as a symphonic RPG. One of the game's promotional claims was, "You can freely form parties in the guild." The game features turn-based combat and introduces a unique magical song composition system that lets the player create spells by writing lyrics. The entire gameplay is built around the idea that music possesses magical power. Ode to the Sunset Era is widely regarded in Japan as one of the most infamous kusoge, shitty game, of its time. Its reputation comes from major flaws across nearly every aspect of the experience, including weak graphics, an underdeveloped system, and a poor storyline. As a result, it is often classified as a netakuso game, a game that's so bad it becomes entertaining as a joke, appreciated primarily for its flaws rather than its strengths. It has achieved cult status as a strange masterpiece that transcends being simply bad, sometimes humorously referred to as a divine game without equal. The story takes place in Harmonia, a world where songs are not merely symbolic, but function as real forces capable of producing tangible effects. Long ago, the world of Harmonia was created by the great god of harmony, Atobion. One day, the evil god Garihak appeared, seeking to take control of this world, triggering a long war. This conflict changed the world, sinking continents and leaving only scattered islands. After a long battle, Atobion emerged victorious, and Garihak was driven away from the world. However, Atobion was wounded, and to heal his injuries, he lay down at the center of the world and fell into a deep sleep. Over time, a single pillar rose from the crystal sphere toward the surface and resonated with the heartbeat of the sleeping Atobion. This resonance became a sacred harmony, forming a barrier of sound that protected Harmonia from external threats. Harmonia remained at peace for the duration of Atobion's sleep, until this fragile balance is ultimately disrupted, weakening the protective resonance and allowing Garihak, long thought sealed, to begin his resurrection. As Atobion remains asleep, the world is once again on the brink of destruction. In Harmonia, the gods are ambiguous figures. While Atobion is revered by humans as a creator god, he is seen as a god of destruction by dragons, whereas Garihak is feared by humans but worshipped by dragons as a creator deity. The protagonist is a wandering minstrel named Rukert, who travels with a lute. During his journey across the sea, he is caught in a violent storm, his ship destroyed, and he eventually washes ashore in the port town of Aden, where he gains a special power known as the Soul of Song. As the only individual capable of performing powerful musical magic and potentially invoking the legendary Dark Ode, the only force able to defeat Garihak, he sets out on a journey across Harmonia, gathering companions along the way. Despite being the protagonist, Rukert is not a typical heroic figure. He is hesitant, physically weak, and poorly suited to combat, as his musical abilities, while central, do not necessarily make him particularly powerful. He has low attack power and progresses slowly due to the game's experience system. Regardless of his role, he is ironically unable to sing in tune. The main heroine, Iris, possesses 1/4 dragon blood and is the daughter of Morgan, leader of the dragon tribe. Due to her diluted lineage, she has a fully human appearance rather than the typical half-dragon form. She was trained by her father to search for the legendary Dark Ode and joins the party with a strong sense of duty, often taking the initiative in dialogue. She has relatively high agility, but low physical strength. The narrative itself, while built upon an interesting premise, suffers from inconsistencies in its execution. Events are often attributed to the influence of Garihak without clear justification, resulting in a fragmented storyline. Rukert quickly assumes, without evidence, that his shipwreck was caused by the revival of the evil god, and many later events are similarly blamed on Garihak in a simplistic way. How many curses has Lord Garihak cast upon this land? The relationship between Rukert and the central conflict is not always clearly established, and the progression of events can appear disconnected. Although the story hints at more complex themes, such as ambiguity between benevolent and evil gods, it rarely develops them effectively. Nevertheless, some late-game relationships and confrontations show brief improvements in character writing. The world is made up of a chain of islands called the Lavender Islands, including Nordyi, Botai, Dodol, Explorata, and Alflo, along with various volcanic and rocky islands, each containing towns, dungeons, and specific points of interest. Movement between islands is carried out by ship via designated shipyards. The environments reflect the game's musical theme, with locations such as the Stairway of Bells, the Forest of Sounds, and the Cave of Melodies featuring puzzles and mechanisms based on sound and music. The overall progression combines exploration, acquisition of musical scores, resource management, and combat. However, free exploration and backtracking are limited, as progression is constrained by the narrative, which restricts access to certain areas and requires the player to follow a predetermined path. In towns, the player can access various facilities. The player can purchase and sell equipment at shops. He can remove curses at temples, gather rumors and hints at taverns, and rest at inns to restore health points and song points and save progress. In certain towns and villages, the player can visit guilds to recruit new characters. Each recruitable character has a profile, recruitment cost, and detailed statistics, all of which can be reviewed in advance. Additional background information is sometimes available through in-game notes or postings within the guild. The party is limited to 4 members, so recruiting a new character requires replacing an existing one if the group is full. Dismissed characters return to their original guild and may be recruited again later. Recruitment is also conditional. Depending on Rukut's level and attributes, some characters may refuse to join. Although the system offers a degree of strategic flexibility and allows the player to compare abilities and optimize the party, it is often undermined by the narrative structure. Story events frequently force characters to join or leave the party, sometimes for trivial reasons or by force, and may replace strong members without warning. Because the scenario is highly linear, it is often impossible to return and recover previously recruited allies after certain events. As a result, the player is rarely able to maintain a stable team, making it difficult to build long-term strategies or maintain emotional attachment to specific characters. The game contains a large number of characters, both within the main narrative and among the optional recruits available through the guild system. The promotional material also states that there are as many small scenarios as there are companions, and that completely different stories can be experienced depending on the chosen companion. In practice, however, the only differences are a few lines of dialogue in certain events. Later in the game, guild characters become almost entirely insignificant in story events. The game's combat system adopts a turn-based structure, but differs from conventional RPG systems, combining traditional command-based mechanics with limited player control and a strong emphasis on musical magic. Characters have standard RPG statistics such as HP, SP, attack, defense, agility, strength, experience, and level. The player can use standard commands for Rukut and his party members: attack, defend, use items, flee, change equipment, or adjust formation. Each character also has a special ability that only he can trigger, but these abilities activate randomly and cannot be directly controlled. Their effects vary. Some provide minor support, while others do nothing or even make things worse. Physical attacks have a very low success rate for both allies and enemies, leading to frequent misses and longer battles. Only Rukut can actively use magical songs, the game's most distinctive feature. Magical songs are not available from the start. They are learned by acquiring musical scores found throughout the adventure, in chests, buildings, or through interactions with characters. Each score unlocks a specific song that the player creates by inputting lyrics within a limit of 7 characters. After entering and confirming the lyrics, the system then generates a melody and accompaniment, and the chant is permanently registered and cannot be modified. Although the player provides the lyrics, the system does not allow control over musical parameters such as pitch or composition. Instead, melodies are automatically generated based on predefined structures, meaning the outcome depends entirely on the system rather than on deliberate musical creation, often producing bizarre or incoherent results rather than convincing magical songs. During combat, Rukut performs the corresponding song, activating its effect. This contributes to the game's unintentional comedic effect, as Rukut, a minstrel portrayed as a handsome young man, sings with an unusually deep and rough, out-of-tune voice, creating a strong mismatch. The game includes 43 magical songs, divided into 4 categories: offensive, defensive, healing, and ancient chants with unspecified effects. Offensive songs deal elemental damage, defensive songs provide temporary buffs or protection, and healing songs restore HP or remove status conditions, often with inconsistent success rates. Ancient chants remain undefined, contributing to uncertainty within the system. Each song consumes song points, a resource exclusive to Rukut. Since only he can use singing magic, managing song points is essential. When song points are depleted, magical chants become unavailable. The game also includes a unique attribute called Loot, which affects the power of Rukut's magical songs. Rukut's loot can be upgraded using pieces obtained from characters or found in rooms and treasure chests, which are automatically installed, gradually improving the instrument. As its performance improves, the power of his magical songs increases accordingly. When all pieces are collected, the loot is completed and reaches its maximum effectiveness. The player can adjust the party's formation lines. The system offers 3 configurations: a full line, a front-heavy formation with 3 characters in front and 1 in the back, and a balanced formation with 2 characters in front and 2 behind. These formations influence combat dynamics and must be selected according to the characteristics of the party members. However, the autonomous behavior of party members introduces unpredictability, as their actions may interfere with the player's intended strategy. Additionally, party members may flee automatically when their HP becomes low, further reducing the player's ability to manage the battle effectively. If a party member's HP reaches 0, he becomes unconscious and can be revived after battle, but if Rukut's HP reaches 0, the game ends immediately. The story of Ode to the Sunset Era follows a mythological struggle with a clear objective: the defeat of Galihak, unfolding as a succession of tasks. Rukut travels from island to island, helps individuals in exchange for information, and delivers items to progress. Upon his arrival in the port town of Aden, Rukut becomes involved in a series of local incidents. A tavern fight breaks out. Rukut steps in to stop it and meets Bobbin, a shipowner who tells him that the evil god Galihak is awakening. Rukut receives the task of finding Aguirre, the missing director of the music academy. His search leads him beyond the northern gate, where he discovers Aguirre on the verge of death. Before he dies, Aguirre entrusts him with a magical score, which grants him the power of song, along with a silver tuning fork that marks Rukut as his successor and initiates him into the hidden tradition of the song scholars, allowing him to use magic based on songs. Rukut learns that monsters are appearing because Galihak is returning, and that songs are not merely art, but the fundamental force that shapes reality itself. They influence nature, spirits, and even the structure of the world. When he attempts to leave the island, an invisible barrier prevents his escape, which confirms that Galihak's return has already begun. Under Bobbin's guidance, Rukut travels to the dragon tribe village of Barueko, where he meets Morgan and his daughter Iris. Morgan reveals that Galihak has sealed the sea and that only a legendary song, the Dark Ode, can defeat him. Because Rukut has inherited Aguirre's gift, only he can find it. Iris joins him, and their journey soon extends far beyond the island. As Rukut travels across multiple regions, he gathers allies and overcomes numerous trials that reinforce the central truth of the world: music is power. Rukut sets out to meet an elder named Forpkin, but first goes through Quiquay and then rescues Cyberin. He negotiates with the forest spirits, the Skyheads, captures a spirit in butterfly form using music, and learns that songs directly affect nature, spirits, and reality itself. Each step leads to another, turning the journey into a chain of tasks. Even when these are completed, they rarely resolve the original goal and instead lead to new objectives. Rukut later encounters the magician Forpkin, who has been corrupted from within. By literally entering his body and defeating the evil presence inside him, Rukut restores him and purifies his heart with music. He then learns more about the growing influence of Galihak. Rukut is sent to Crescent Island and discovers a major revelation. King Rampal has gone mad after he played a bone flute crafted from the remains of Galihak. This act shattered the world's protective barrier and allowed Galihak's return. Later discoveries confirm that this is not an isolated incident. Across the world, Galihak's bones are being excavated and distributed, which means his resurrection is both physical and spiritual and has already begun. Rukut sets out to infiltrate the royal palace of Estancia and rescue Lionel. He then goes to the music academy and confronts its unstable director, Foucault. Rukut confronts him again in the Forest of Sounds. He then meets Shoko, who asks him to find Archbishop Jill, who in turn asks Rukut to bring Shoko to the palace. With the help of a resistance group, Rukut infiltrates the royal palace once more and discovers ancient documents that reveal that the Dark Ode has been divided into 3 parts: the opening, the main body, and the finale, each hidden in distant and dangerous locations. Rookut also learns that the carillon, another crucial song originally created by Galihak himself, has been mysteriously stolen by Bobbin, leaving behind only a note. Rookut is captured and forced to escape. It is revealed that Shoko comes from a royal background, but this has little impact on the story. Rookut then embarks on a long journey to recover the 3 parts of the Dark Ode. On the volcanic island Gradual, after navigating political conflicts, ancient trials, and defeating the monster Dodol, he finds the first part in the true Cave of Wrath. On another island, after resolving the crisis at the Academy and defeating Balmeras, Rookut reaches the lake where time stopped and obtains the second part, the finale. Later, on a rocky island, he meets Aaron and Ed, uncovers a prison island that houses the remains of Galihak, and defeats the Skullmaster. There, he learns that the bones used to create the cursed flute originated from this site. He then travels to the village of the Otter tribe. After he completes a ritual with an azure gem, he obtains the final section. The Dark Ode is now complete. Upon returning to the dragon homeland, Rookut confronts Morgan, Iris's father and leader of the dragon tribe. Morgan betrays the group and reveals a hidden truth. Galihak was the original creator of the world. Atobion later defeated him, took control of the world, and created humanity. Atobion banned the dragon tribe and Galihak's creations, reshaping the world around humans. As a result, the dragon tribe maintained coexistence with humans through a series of compromises, but ultimately chose to return the Dark Ode to Galihak in order to reclaim their place. According to Morgan, the Dark Ode is the song that created the world, and he intends to use it again to recreate reality, erasing the current world entirely and restoring the original one. Iris rejects this ideology, arguing that it would destroy all existing lives, memories, and meaning, suggesting that it is not a simple battle between good and evil, but a clash of histories, truths, and interpretations of creation itself. Rookut and his allies defeat Morgan, but the deeper moral conflict remains unresolved. The world itself is built on a contested past, and the threat of Galihak remains. At this point, Bobbin reappears and reveals the truth behind his earlier actions. He is actually a dragon and a member of the Song Scholars, like Aguirre. He stole the carillon to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands and had secretly repaired it. Acting from the shadows, he has been guiding events to preserve balance of the world. The party cannot defeat Galihak alone and must first awaken Atobion, the only being capable of opposing him. Rookut travels to the Crystal Cave and performs the carillon, successfully awakening Atobion from his slumber. However, Atobion is too weak to fight directly, and instead gives them the mission to retrieve the mist staff hidden in the Castle of Dreams, the only weapon capable of countering Galihak. Iris sacrifices herself temporarily in order to sustain a dream realm through continuous singing, which allows Rookut and his companions to reach the Castle of Dreams. There, they gather 9 songstones and obtain the mist staff. When they return, Iris is nearly petrified from exhaustion, but Atobion sends the party directly to Galihak's cave for the final confrontation. Ed joins, and the final battles begin. Inside Galihak's cave, the party faces a final trial. They must battle echoes of all their past enemies, reliving their entire journey through battle. At the deepest point, they confront Galihak himself. He declares his intent to reclaim the world he created and attacks with overwhelming divine power. The mist staff protects the party from his attacks, allowing them to endure the battle. During the fight, Ed sacrifices himself in an attempt to weaken Galihak, while Iris, despite her weakened state, supports Rookut from afar with magic. Through unity, sacrifice, and the power of music, Rookut and his allies ultimately defeat Galihak. All living things, even gods, must die. The end is merely a beginning. There is still another god. After the battle, the sea barrier disappears, the world begins to heal, and King Rampal regains his sanity. The group then parts ways. Aaron and Ed leave together to forge their own path, while others return to rebuild their lives. Rookut prepares to leave alone, believing his journey with Iris has come to an end. However, at the last moment, Iris returns and chooses to leave with him. Together, they depart by ship, beginning a new journey beyond the island. Ode to the Sunset Era can be seen as a product of its context. The game occupies a particular place within the history of PlayStation role-playing games. It is undeniably a bad game, composed almost entirely of poor design choices, and it perfectly embodies repetitive and exhausting gameplay. Yet, it remains a notorious cult classic, still regarded as one of the worst RPGs on the system. It is neither entirely successful nor entirely unsuccessful. Instead, it occupies an intermediate position, where innovation and limitation coexist. Although the game features a large number of systems, they do not always interact cohesively. The integration of music into every aspect of gameplay and narrative is a defining feature. However, each component, combat, progression, narrative, and interface, functions according to its own set of rules, and the combination between them remains uneven. At the same time, this lack of cohesion contributes to the game's distinct character. From the very beginning, the player is gripped by a text-heavy prologue and an intensely unsettling polygonal cutscene that shows the protagonist on a boat that suddenly starts sinking. The character is rendered with low-quality, disturbing polygons, and some scenes where the camera zooms in on him are almost unbearable. The protagonist has been mocked and nicknamed the face of a pathogen, turning the game into a strange masterpiece that inevitably builds high expectations. The in-game graphics are entirely in pixel art and are well crafted, even if they are more reminiscent of a Super Famicom title, and the game tends to reuse sprites quite often. The town and field music provides a highly immersive and beautifully crafted atmosphere, while the battle theme highlights impressive percussion, with drums taking center stage. Ode to the Sunset Era is often regarded as a game that transcends the notion of conventional failure, instead becoming a subject of interest due to its unusual characteristics. Its flaws are central to its identity, influencing how the game is discussed and remembered.